So the caverns of Luray were discovered in August 13, 1878. So this entire graph is basically showing how the cave was formed. So basically it's like when the carbonic acid in the groundwater, it dissolves the limestone in the ground, and then it like trickles down and keeps trickling. And then the water area is now like lowered down, and then the limestone dissolved is now creating stalagmites or stalactites, and then it creates a cave. So it's basically just dissolved out from the acid in rainwater. So this entire place was deemed as a national natural landmark in 1973. However, since the water and the soils are obviously still not completely settled down yet, they're still shifting, so it's just telling us to like watch your step, basically, like don't cause a cave-in, because that would be really bad. Scientists actually estimate these caverns to be over 450 million years old, so they're pretty old. And as you guys can see behind me, these are the stalagmites I was talking about. They're basically formed when the clay from like the ceiling and stuff and the rock and stuff, they drip, and then eventually over a couple 100 million years, they finally like harden. And then sometimes they drip too much, and then like the top and the bottom stalactite, they like form together because they got connected from the dripping, and then you get like a veil, basically. So it's just a big block in the middle of nowhere that looks like kind of like a naturally generated pillar. So this is the Dream Lake, aka the largest body of water in the Luray Caverns. And as you guys can see on the ground, there seems to be a bunch of stalagmites. If you guys look a little bit closer, you'll find that these stalagmites seem to be a perfect flip here of the stalactites above. So the thing about this is that it's just actually a reflection in the water, and it's not even actually that deep. It's only 18 to 20 inches deepest. So that's cool. It's just very, very still, very, very reflective water. So behind me is this very large stalagmite kind of squished together. Like I said earlier, the clay drips and the two tips touch, it keeps dripping, and then it just forms something that looks kind of like a monstrosity. So here's one. This one is basically up to the imagination, but I think that it looks like a pair of feet, and the other one is a veil, or the way I see it, it looks more like a waterfall. Behind me is Titania's veil, and by that I mean the fat chunk of stalactite stalagmite formation. The biggest one is kind of hard to miss. So that's Titania's bill. And all of these big rocks and stuff, they all came basically from the sailing over the 450 million years that this cavern has been around. And as you guys can see, it left some very deep, dark, creepy pits. And yeah, well, it's a cave, so what did you really expect? So behind me are a bunch of stalactite and stalagmite formed formations. As you guys can see, that one is my favorite. They all look like unpainted leaning towers of Pisa. I don't know, sort of similar. That one's my favorite, the one with the little flat top. And the stalagmites and stalactites, they literally, like the little gaps between them literally look like windows. It feels like nature has a better decorating sense than I do. So this part of the cave is called Saracen's Tent. I actually don't know if it's pronounced Saracen or Saracen because it's a C. But behind me, as you guys can see, it looks like stalactites and stalagmites. A lot of them have merged together, and they form something that looks very similar to drapery, as you guys can see. So like, think of veils or window shades. So behind me, it might not seem like it, but this is actually a stalactite that fell from the ceiling, which is why it's called a fallen stalactite. As you guys can see, it is a very big stalactite as well. So basically, 7,000 years ago, there was a massive earthquake in the east, and, well, plop, that came off, I guess. And it's already been 7,000 years since that occurrence, and it's actually one of the main attractions here at Luray Caverns. It's kind of like up on this cavernous mountain, there's like a temple, you know, like those temples from like Journey to the West, if you've ever like seen that movie. But basically, you guys can see on there, it looks either like a little pebble stacking or like one of those temples that stack really high, like those traditional ones. On its own little mountain. Isn't that cute? It's small, but it's trying. So this entire place is actually secretly a musical instrument. Actually, not secretly, it's actually rather public. So basically, this entire place is basically the musical instrument, and it was actually some kind of organ, it was deemed, and it was also deemed as the world's largest instrument because obviously this entire place is the instrument. So the instrument is basically based on the size and the shape of the stalactite. Rubber-covered mallets, electronically signaled, would tap the stalactite, and it would make a different sound based on the size and shape, and it could make music. And it could also be manually played on an organ that's sitting over there. It could also be manually played via that, but most of the time it was used by gently tapping the stalactites. Obviously, we're not allowed to do that now because now it's deemed as a natural wonder. We're not allowed to smack the rocks off the ceiling. But this place was also originally used as a ballroom from the people who occasionally danced here, and it was now deemed the cathedral based on its ethereal, natural kind of feeling. That entire thing behind me, like the white one, kind of feels like if I stuck a very, very large block of ice into my dryer and then pulled it out like a week later. It looks like ice covered with the whitest lint I've ever seen. It looks nice. I think it looks really pretty, but I kind of have an intuition just like squishy. It looks soft. You know, it looks fluffy. That's rock, by the way. Don't touch it, or else this entire thing is gonna come falling down. So as you guys can see behind me, this is a wishing well, and this wishing well has a lot of money in it. Once every year, it is emptied out, and the money is given to the societies as stone. So it's already donated over $1.1 million, and it's almost about to reach 1.2 million. So hopefully this year it'll reach it. The water is very green. Maybe it's intentional, maybe it's from the money, the nasty stuff from the money. Who knows? So yeah, that's the end of this video. This entire cave was very fun. There were a lot of cool rocks, lots of nice things to see. But yeah, that's the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye bye!